What if the most productive garden you've ever grown didn't require you to buy a single new seed packet week after week, month after month? Most people think of gardening as a cycle: plant, grow, harvest, then start all over again. But there's a smarter way to grow food. A group of vegetables, some humble, some surprising, will keep producing for you on a continuous basis, as long as you harvest them correctly and give them the basic care they need. No replanting, no waiting months to see results again, just consistent, reliable harvests, sometimes every single week. Today, we're going through 15 of these incredible cut and come again vegetables, how to harvest them properly, and why they keep giving you food without starting from scratch. Let's get into it. Before we dive in, here's the key principle behind everything you're about to hear. Many vegetables grow from a central root or crown, and when you harvest only the outer leaves or stems, leaving that growing center intact, the plant simply keeps pushing out new growth. Others regrow from a cut stem because their energy reserves are stored in the roots underground. Understanding this makes you a smarter harvester. You're not just picking food, you're managing a living plant to keep it producing. Alright, let's count them down. 1. Leaf lettuce. Leaf lettuce, not the head varieties like iceberg, but loose leaf types like red sales, oak leaf, or green leaf is one of the easiest cut and come again vegetables you can grow. Here's how it works. The plant grows from a central base. New leaves emerge from the center outward. When you harvest, you take the outer, mature leaves and leave the inner, younger leaves completely untouched. Within 7 to 10 days, sometimes less in warm weather, those inner leaves have grown out enough to harvest again. Important tip: never cut the entire plant down to the base in hot weather. Heat causes lettuce to bolt, meaning it sends up a flower stalk and turns bitter. Keep harvesting the outer leaves to delay bolting and extend your season. Leaf lettuce performs best in cool weather, spring and fall, but can be grown in partial shade during summer to slow bolting. Spinach. Spinach behaves very similarly to leaf lettuce. It grows from a central crown, and harvesting outer leaves while leaving the center intact allows continuous production. In ideal, cool conditions between 35 degrees Fahrenheit and 75 degrees Fahrenheit, 2 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius, spinach can produce harvestable leaves every 7 to 10 days. Once temperatures rise above 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 degrees Celsius, spinach bolts quickly. At that point, pull it and switch to a heat-tolerant green. But in spring, fall, and mild climates, spinach is an incredibly generous producer. Harvesting tip: use clean scissors or snip by hand. Take no more than 1/3 of the plant at a time. This keeps the plant strong enough to keep producing. Kale. Kale is one of the most resilient cut and come-again vegetables on this list. It tolerates cold far better than most leafy greens, and can continue producing well into winter in many climates, even after frost. In fact, frost actually improves kale's flavor, converting starches into sugars. Kale grows on a central stalk. New leaves emerge from the top growing point. Harvest by removing lower, mature leaves, always keeping the top growth intact. This allows the plant to keep pushing upward and producing new leaves. A well-established kale plant can produce harvestable leaves every 7 to 14 days, depending on temperature and sunlight. Varieties to know: Lacana to dinosaur kale, curly kale, and red Russian kale all respond well to repeated harvesting. 4. Swiss chard. Swiss chard is one of the most overlooked continuous harvest vegetables, which is a shame, because it's incredibly productive and tolerates both heat and cold better than spinach or lettuce. Like kale, it grows from a central crown. Harvest outer stalks with their leaves by cutting or snapping them off at the base. The inner leaves will continue developing. Swiss chard can produce harvestable stalks every 7 to 10 days through most of the growing season. In mild climates, a single planting can last 2 full years. Bonus: both the leaves and the colorful stems are edible. Treat the stems like celery and the leaves like spinach. Arugula. Arugula, also called rocket, is a fast-growing, peppery green that responds beautifully to cut and come-again harvesting. Cut the leaves down to about 2 to 3 inches above the soil, and the plant will regrow within 7 to 14 days. You can typically get 3 to 4 harvests from a single planting before the plant bolts. Like lettuce and spinach, arugula prefers cool weather. In heat, it bolts quickly and the leaves become more intensely bitter, though some people enjoy that flavor. For the mildest flavor, harvest young, tender leaves. Older leaves are sharper and more peppery. 6. Cilantro. Cilantro is a plant many gardeners struggle with because it bolts so fast. But if you manage it correctly with the right harvesting approach, you can extend its production significantly. Harvest by snipping stems from the outside of the plant, never cutting the entire plant down at once. Leave at least 1/3 to 1/2 of the plant intact at all times. The key insight with cilantro: once it bolts and flowers, the seeds it drops, called coriander, will self-sow and give you a new generation of plants without you doing anything. Many gardeners use this to maintain a near constant supply by letting some plants go to seed deliberately. In cool weather, cilantro can produce harvestable leaves every 7 to 10 days. Chives. Chives are a perennial herb, meaning once established, they come back year after year. That alone makes them one of the best low-maintenance plants on this list. Harvest by cutting the hollow, grass-like leaves down to about 1 to 2 inches above the soil. Within 2 to 3 weeks, they'll regrow to harvestable height again. A single clump of chives given full sun and adequate water can be harvested every few weeks throughout the entire growing season and will return reliably the following spring. Bonus: chive flowers are also edible. They have a mild onion flavor and make a beautiful garnish. Parsley. Parsley is a biennial. It lives for 2 growing seasons. In the first year, it grows leaves. In the second, it flowers and sets seed. This means a single planting gives you a full first season of harvests, and depending on your climate, significant production into the second season before it bolts. Harvest by cutting outer stems at the base of the plant, leaving the inner growth intact. Parsley can produce harvestable stems every 1 to 2 weeks during its active growth period. Both flatleaf Italian and curly parsley respond well to repeated harvesting. Mint. Mint is another perennial and an aggressive spreader. Most experienced gardeners grow it in containers to prevent it from taking over the garden. Harvest by cutting stem tips the top 3 to 4 inches of the plant. This also encourages the plant to branch out and become bushier, giving you more to harvest next time. In the right conditions, mint can be harvested every 3 to 4 weeks through the growing season, and it dies back in winter only to return strongly in spring. Varieties: spearmint, peppermint, and applemint all grow this way. Broccoli. Here's one that surprises people. Most gardeners harvest the central head of broccoli and then pull the plant. But broccoli is designed to keep producing. After you harvest the main central head, the plant sends out side shoots, smaller broccoli florets that emerge from the leaf axils along the main stalk. These side shoots are tender, flavorful, and can be harvested every 1 to 2 weeks for many weeks after the central head is gone. The key is to harvest the central head before it starts to flower, when the florets are still tight and green. Once the yellow flowers open, side shoot production slows. Varieties like Calabrese are particularly known for vigorous side shoot production. 11. Green beans, pole beans. Pole beans, the climbing variety of green beans, are continuous producers once they start flowering. Unlike bush beans, which produce one large crop and then decline, pole beans keep flowering and producing pods throughout the season. The critical rule: harvest frequently. If you leave mature pods on the vine, the plant's energy shifts towards seed production and it stops making new pods. Harvest every 5 to 7 days and the plant will keep producing for 6 to 8 weeks or more. Pick pods when they're firm and snap cleanly before the seeds inside begin to bulge visibly through the pod. 12. Chard beet greens. If you grow beets, you're already growing a continuous harvest green without realizing it. Beet greens, the leafy tops of beet plants, can be harvested repeatedly by taking outer leaves and leaving the center intact. Harvesting some greens doesn't stop the beetroot from developing underground. You can harvest greens and still get your beets. Just don't remove so many leaves that the plant can't photosynthesize effectively. Young beet greens have a mild, slightly earthy flavor. They can be eaten raw in salads or cooked like spinach. Pea shoots. Pea shoots, the young, tender tips of pea plants, can be harvested repeatedly once the plants are a few inches tall. Snip the top 3 to 4 inches of the growing tip. The plant will branch from lower nodes and push out new growth. You can typically harvest pea shoots every 1 to 2 weeks while the weather stays cool. Eventually, the plant will mature and start producing full pea pods, at which point you transition to harvesting pods instead of shoots. This gives you 2 harvesting phases from the same plant. Basil. Basil requires more attention than most herbs, but when harvested correctly, a single plant can produce for months. The key is to pinch off growing tips, the very top pair of leaves, regularly. This prevents the plant from bolting into flower mode and encourages it to bush out sideways, creating a larger, leafier plant. Never let basil flower if you want continued leaf production. The moment you see flower buds forming, pinch them off immediately. Harvest by taking stem tips cut just above a pair of lower leaves so the plant branches there. In warm, sunny conditions, basil can be harvested every 7 to 10 days. Basil is frost sensitive. Keep it in full sun and away from cold drafts. 15. Green onions, scallions. Green onions are perhaps the simplest continuous harvest vegetable on this list. Plant sets small onion bulbs or seeds, and once the green tops grow to 6 to 8 inches tall, you can harvest. Here's the trick. Cut the green tops down to about 1 inch above the soil, or harvest individual outer blades, and the plant will regrow from the roots. A well-maintained patch of green onions can produce harvestable tops every 3 to 4 weeks throughout the growing season. In mild winter climates, they may continue growing year-round. In colder zones, the roots can survive winter underground and push new growth in spring. So there you have it, 15 vegetables that keep giving without requiring you to replant from scratch. Leaf lettuce, spinach, kale, Swiss chard, arugula, cilantro, chives, parsley, mint, broccoli, pole beans, beet greens, pea shoots, basil, green onions. The one principle connecting all of them: harvest thoughtfully, not aggressively. Never take more than 1/3 of the plant at once. Always leave the growing center or enough foliage for the plant to keep feeding itself through photosynthesis. Do that, and these 15 plants will reward you with fresh food week after week from a single planting. If you found this helpful, give this video a like and subscribe for more practical gardening content. Drop a comment below, which of these are you already growing? I'd love to know. See you in the next one.